And in particular, I would like to refer us to page 142, annexure, that would be annexure NPM 6 of Masuku. Annexure NPM 6, Mr. Kefelakai, at 142, page 142.
NPM 6, page 142, I'm at it.
That document appears to be, well, it's signed by you, and it has as its heading, termination of guarding services between IPID and Bidvest Protea Coin at the place of residence of IPID investigators in the Gauteng province with effect from 16 July 2024. Do you see where I'm reading?
Yes, Commissioners.
Is this document relevant to what you are talking about now, and if so, how? And if you could talk to it, please.
Yes, Commissioners. Commissioners, what happened is that as and when we were providing or rather supporting our investigators with the protection, in between there were reassessments that were conducted on threats and risks.
If I may, the document does specify the investigators who were affected. Do you care to read them on record?
Yes, here I've got Mr. Tulani Magagula, Mr. Tulani Dlamini, and Ms. Nomsa Masuku.
Thank you. You may continue.
Commissioners, at the time, we could not just terminate the protection that we were offering to our investigators without checking the risk level. So we had to consult again with the sister department, and they were very committed to assist us because they have the capacity. They went to do the reassessments, and they said, you need to continue. And then we called them again from time to time, and to the point where they said, no, the risk at this point in time, it has been mitigated. And like I have said in my statement here, that the work that we do does not, it goes with the risks. But we also have to be responsible to know that this time around the risk is high, and therefore something needs to be done.
And you testified that what we have here at 142 is a termination of the security services. How long had it been in place prior to its termination on the 11th of July 2024 in respect of these three investigators in particular? Do you have a recollection?
Yeah, the protection was offered, I think it was in 2023 March, and it was terminated in 2024 during the month of July. So if my recollection is right, it could be around 14 months of the protection that was offered to the investigators.
Thank you. At page 21, you then just generally summarize what you call psychological pressure and harassment. If you could just briefly touch on that. Thank you, Commissioners. We may close the annexure file. Thank you. And you may close that Masuku annexure file as well, Mr. Kefelakai.
Chairperson, my apology. Commissioners, during the time when these investigations were conducted, from time to time you would meet up with the investigators just to track the progress of the cases and how they are coping and so on. It was difficult, Commissioners, because during the period, one of the investigators' his vehicle was shot at, and it was quite a disturbing situation because subsequent to an event wherein her child was shot and sustained very serious injuries. And now she still needed to do her work and very determined to serve. And it was painful, and it affected other colleagues as well in the process. Because when you had one investigator, it demoralizes others. But one had to be there with them, providing the necessary support. It's not a good thing.
Thank you. Then on to page 21, starting at paragraph 39, you discuss what you term organizational and resource constraints. Would you like to?
Maybe
before that, yes.
Maybe before you do that, I would have perhaps naively assumed that what you describe in paragraph 38, threats to IPID investigators, that is an everyday occupational hazard for people who do the kind of work that you do. I would have assumed that. And I just want to clarify, is this just a general description of what the investigators experience because of the nature of their work and this is their everyday lives? Or this is specific to when you were now investigating the EMPD people, what you describe in this paragraph 38?
It's EMPD. It's a peculiar environment, in a sense that the threats are very different. You would observe that even the suspects, the manner in which they would die, it's worrying. And because we happen to get a sense of what is happening on the ground, so we are better able to relate with the situation that this kind of activities in Ekurhuleni, they are different. You don't get that in your EMPD. We have got Tshwane here. We don't get those kind of threats. We have got eThekwini. We don't get such kind of threats. But why would then Ekurhuleni be just a peculiar EMPD, a municipality that would then think that they cannot be touched?
What I'm asking is, what is it about the threats that you're discussing in paragraph 38 in very general terms, and of course the incident about the shooting at the motor vehicle of an investigator and the injury to the child? What is it about this that you attribute, if you do, that you attribute these threats and activities to EMPD investigations? Is it the content of the threat? You could see it comes from Mr. X, or they say something in there that tells you this is EMPD related. I want to understand, just so that we don't become unduly unfair to EMPD if in fact you're just speaking generally here, not because they in particular have done something that stands out.
Yeah, the messages that they would send to the investigators, which we would then read together, would clearly point out to EMPD. And even when the threats and risk assessments were done, the risks was clear that the EMPD was the burning platform.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. Perhaps then that, just to follow up on that, you say the threats were clearly clearly involved EMPD, and I'm not saying from EMPD, but you suggest that they involve EMPD cases. Is that the case?
Yeah, that's the case.
What did you do with the threats? Do you refer them anywhere for investigation? What steps do you take once the investigators receive such threats?
Because those threats were, we then thought of making sure that we mitigate against those threats. Hence, we thought it prudent to provide security. But over and above that, we made it a point that we do other things over and above that for our investigators. And I'm not sure as to whether it will be...
No, I don't want the detail of what you do.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in whether or not do you pursue the threats to ensure that they are investigated, if anything, to establish the source or the true source of the threats. Is that a process you undertake?
Yeah, that should be the process. But at the time, looking at the issues that we were dealing with, we decided that we will mitigate these threats and follow up on these matters. So that was the focus. But of course, we then decided that perhaps maybe we need to strengthen our approach to make sure that as and when such threats come, we need to open cases so that we have the record of such. However, there are instances where it becomes difficult to even open cases because what happens is that they simply frustrate you. They follow you, our investigators, with different cars, false number plates, when we check, it's those kind of things. So that's the psychological part of it.
Okay, I'm clear, thank you. I had invited us then to go to from paragraph 39, where you deal with organizational and resource constraints, and I think you can, very briefly summarize what you have under that chapter. You have, I think, over the course of your testimony, alluded to some of the issues that you list under that heading. So without necessarily reading the totality of it, you might just want to highlight that which you think you haven't had opportunity to during the course of your testimony.
Thanks, Commissioners. What then I can highlight is that the resource constraints are mainly as a result of the budgetary constraints, because without adequate budget, obviously you'll experience a shortage of personnel. And then if you don't have personnel in the environment wherein you are receiving a lot of cases, you might not be able to speedily complete the cases. So these are the challenges that we have. You are unable to also have good vehicles, which are a very important tool of trade. The ICT infrastructure is very key. And these are the issues that if we were to have the adequate budget, in fact, IPID has got very few investigators as compared to if we were to look into the area that we are expected to cover. You can't expect one person with even 200 cases to travel 300 cases. I mean, he won't do much. So those are some of the challenges which I believe that if to account and to contribute towards professionalization of the police services in our country. Thank you.
Okay. We are now at your page 23. You have a topic there, IPID management strategies for workload reduction. But I believe that we dealt with these issues after tea when you responded to a specific question from the chair. Do you recall?
Yes,
and this would, you then dealt with the content of your paragraphs 41 to 44,
Correct.
which then will lead us to your next chapter, which is headed Recommendations from paragraph 45.
Correct.
If you could just very briefly summarize what your recommendations are.
Yeah, on this part, on the recommendation part, is that if the commission, we recommend to the commission the following measures: increase the budget to meet operational demands. The second one, ensure that IP disciplinary recommendations are fully enforceable by municipal authorities and the SAPs, reinforcing accountability and compliance across all levels. Strengthen cross-government collaboration to prevent delays, interference, or non-compliance with IP investigations. And that then relates to the kind of just a classical example that I was just referring to. And that the 45.4, I think this one becomes very important, that we have got the Cybercrime Act that precludes IP investigative police officers. Now, that then erodes on IP's independence, because piece of legislation, for me, it was well designed to frustrate IP when it has to deal with cases, because for us to be able to deal with many of our cases, we need to seize things like cell phones and other electronics, such as the laptops and so on. So we can't do that with ease, because we have to go and ask the South African Police Service to do it on our behalf. So we have to go there and beg and say, can you please help us to go and seize this item? So naturally, you won't easily get that cooperation. If ever, then you have to go that route. That's the only route, because if you don't do it that way, there is a penal provision in the very same act against us as IPID.
Okay. Before you leave that topic, I would like to refer you back to 43. I think there is an error in your paragraph 43, just reading. What you have currently written is to enhance the operational effectiveness, accountability, and independence of the Independent Police Directorate, IPID. The Commission recommends the following. I don't think you meant to say the Commission.
No, I correct, Essie, I'm sorry. I meant the recommendations to
the Commission.
To the Commission, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was just an error.
The change shall be the correction shall be duly made.
Okay.
Thank you. That then leads us to your conclusion, Mr. Kifelakai, if you could summarize your conclusion and make any other. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
Commissioner
sorry,
Baloyi.
maybe before the conclusion, and it may be that you address it in your conclusion, but I say this mindful also that perhaps part of it, of what I'm going to say, may well be directed to Ms. Sillo for when you appear next, when the witness appears, not you.
Yes, Commissioner.
So what you do here is in paragraphs 40, from paragraph 41 up to the end, just before the conclusion, you discuss measures that could improve, things that could improve how you do things.
Yes.
But the difficulty for me is that you don't give us detail of the difficulties. And let me just give you an example. You say in 45.1, the provision of advanced technological, forensic, and investigative resources. You see what I'm reading?
Yes.
45.1. But you don't tell us what is in place right now and what are the shortcomings about it. You lament the budget. We have no idea what is your budget like, and how has it been over time? Has it kept up with the load of your work? And how does it lag? Clearly, you're saying it hasn't kept up with the increase in the volume of work, but what are the shortcomings in the budget? And are you in charge of your budget? Does it come from the SAPs? We don't have all of that information.
Okay.
Do you get a direct allocation from Parliament? And even lastly, and I'm trying to be very quick here, so I'm not talking about each one of them, but the principle, I think you understand the principle.
Yeah.
Lastly, 45.4, where you talk about the Cybercrimes Act. We haven't discussed the act itself. You assume we know what that act is. You assume that when we look at it, we will see where it disadvantages you. And I think when you do reappear, especially because you're asking the Commission to make recommendations about these topics, that I think it is best if it would be most helpful if you gave us a comprehensive submission about and practical challenges, how they impact the work practically, and maybe even with examples, and then more specific recommendations. So when you say you want advanced technological resources, I have no idea what is relevant technological resources in your space. Firstly, so if you would speak to that and tell us this is normally what would work best for us. The burden is on Ms. Sillo to...
Yes, it is, and duly noted. These matters will ensure that during the IPID stream are specifically and pointedly addressed, so that the commissioners may perhaps have a better appreciation for the recommendations as proposed by IPID.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Commissioner Malloy.
Then you can do the conclusion as Ms. Sillo had asked you to do.
Okay. In conclusion, this affidavit is submitted to assist the Commission of Inquiry to understand the investigative environment, the risk faced by IPID investigators, and the systemic organizational challenges within IPID. In a nutshell, the challenges that are beyond our control. The issues raised herein demonstrate a clear need for strengthened institutional support to ensure lawful, independent, and effective oversight of policing in South Africa. Thank you, Commissioners.
Commissioners, I guess before I say that is the testimony, are there any other comments that you'd like to make to the Commissioners at this juncture that perhaps are not captured in your statement? Or would you prefer to reserve them for your return appearance, so to speak?
I would prefer to reserve them for the second appearance, Commissioners.
Okay.
Thank you.
With that response, Chair, I think then I can safely say that is the testimony of Mr. Kifelakai for this part of the inquiry. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Kifelakai.
You're welcome, Commissioner.
You are excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The next witness is ready. Perhaps if we could have 5 minutes, change of files and the likes, and we'll be ready to start.
Let's adjourn. You'll indicate when we should come back.
Thank you, Chair.
Good afternoon. We are ready to resume. Please switch off your cell phones. Thank you.
Ms. Lo.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, we are ready to lead our next witness, and she also is from IPID. It's Ms. Nomsa Masuku, and she has confirmed that she would like to take the oath. Thank you, Chair.
Good afternoon, Ms. Masuku. Please.
Please switch on both the mics. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon. Do you swear that the evidence you are going to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Masuku, you should have before you two small white files, both bearing your name on the spine. The one is called a statement file, and the other is an extra file. Please, do you confirm you have those?
Yes, I do confirm.
Okay. Do you confirm that you have provided a statement to this commission to assist it in its inquiry?
Yes, I do confirm, Commissioners.
I would like to refer you to the file then marked statement file. You should find a single document in there. At page 1, between the trim lines, it says it's a witness statement of Nomsa Purity Masuku. Do you see that?
Yes, I see it.
It is a 19-page document, and if you could go to page 19 thereof, there is a signature above your name, and it is dated 11/02/2026. Do you confirm that's your signature?
I confirm, Commissioners.
And lastly, do you still stand by the contents of this statement as you submitted to the Commission?
I do, Commissioners.
Can I invite us then to page 1 of your statement? At page 1, you have a heading, Introduction. If you could briefly just introduce yourself. Please do not read out your personal details, such as your PESEL number or your ID number, wherever it may appear. Just in summary. Thank you.
Or phone number.
Or phone number. Indeed.
Thank you, Commissioners. I am adult African female with PESEL number, a senior investigator at IPID in South Africa, Gauteng Provincial Office, stationed at Fisher Towers, 20 Albert Street in Marshalltown, Johannesburg, with work contact number. The facts deposed to by me below are within my personal knowledge, unless otherwise stated or indicated by the context, and are to the best of my belief, both true and correct.
Thank you. You then have the next heading titled Service History. Now this runs into 4 pages until page 5. It's quite an extensive service history. Would you like to highlight for the commissioners anything in particular, starting from paragraph 3? You don't have to read the entirety of the service history into the record, but just looking at the statement, highlight specific issues you would like them to have particular attention to. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. My service history, I joined the SAPS in the year of 2001, and then I was trained at Pretoria College, and then I was posted at Boyson's SAPS as a detective since 2002 until 2005, whereby I moved to Alexandra, where I was working at a serious and violence crime unit. I worked there for about 2 years, then I moved to Alexandra FCS, whereby we were just dealing with certain stations. By that time, the police
And
station...
FCS stands for?
Commissioners, FCS stands for Family Violence, Child Protection and Sexual Offences Unit. That is where I was based, and then I worked there for about a year or two. And then I had to join the FCS, but now they were dealing only with serial rapist matters. Then I moved to Tembisa cluster, whereby I stayed there until 2010. But when I joined at Tembisa in 2010 until 2013. Where I was there, I managed to crack one of the cases of a serial rapist that was terrorizing the area around there. The cases were ranging from 2004 until 2012. But I managed to crack that case, and the serial rapist was Albert Justice Norake, who was sentenced to more than 1,500 years in High Court that was sitting at Palm Ridge by then. And then thereafter, I was moved to the SAPS provincial office, whereby we were still dealing with the serial rapist matters, but at a provincial level now, not only at selected stations. There, I was given just about 3 members. I was the 4th one, and then I was the lead investigator on certain matters of serial rapists that are linked by DNA but unsolved. We did very well, but unfortunately, I didn't stay long with that unit because I started it there in 2013, and then in 2016, end of April, I resigned and joined IPID in May 2016 as a senior investigator.
Thank you. You then, from your paragraph 8, deal with your powers as an IPID investigator. If you could briefly take us through that.
Thank you, Commissioners. As I have mentioned that I resigned at SAPS in 2016 and joined IPID. When I joined IPID, then I was appointed there as a senior investigator. And then in terms of Section 24(2) of IPID Act 1 of 2011, I was given powers provided by the Criminal Procedure Act, which are bestowed upon a peace officer or a police official to investigate the offences, to ascertain the bodily features, the entry and search to the premises, the seizures, the arrest, the execution of warrants. So in other words, I perform duties that amount to a member of SAPS. We are both the same, just different departments.
Thank you, Ms. Masuku. You then, thereafter, from page 3, deal with your qualifications and training, as well as commendations you received over the years. Could you summarize those for us briefly?
Yes, I've got the National Diploma in Policing, which I got it at Tshwane University of Technology. I have other certificates like investigation of cyber and electronic crimes that I got from University of Pretoria, as well as I've been trained in skills and understanding just in information literacy. I did that at University of Witwatersrand. And then I had just different in-service training within SAPS, like the basic field training that no police officer can be one before you undergo that. So I underwent that. I went for detective learning programs. I did the family violence as I was specializing in rapes. I did courses like section management, relief management, just to name a few. And then as a then hardworking investigator, I received a few commendations that include a commendation from the Minister of Police for hard work that I was doing and dedication I was doing while I was within the SAPS. And then I've won several awards.
You don't mention investigative skills, did you?
Commissioner?
I'm saying I didn't hear you mention investigative skills under small Roman 1.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I was just mentioning, just to highlight that I was recognized that I even received that commendation that was signed by the Minister. For my hard work, the investigation skills, I do have those, yes, and dedication to my work. I've won a few performance excellent awards. I've got various certificates of my outstanding performance within the Gauteng province. Yes.
Okay, now you have at 12, Roman 2, you say you received a commendation as winner of the Performance Excellence Award from Intelligence Transfer Center. What is that? Can you say more about that?
It's the company that deals with all the women within the law enforcement internationally. So that was conducted, and then I was picked as the winner in overall internationally. Yes.
And that I take it that, would I be correct to suggest that it involves the use of intelligence in investigation or something
That's true.
related? Okay.
That's true.
Thank you. That then takes us to your paragraph 13, and I think Mr. Kifelakai, who testified before you, dealt with these aspects. You deal with section 28, 1A to H, and sub 2 of the IPID Act. So those are lifted directly from the Act, and Mr. Kifelakai has addressed them. I suggest we then go to your paragraph 15, and perhaps it's appropriate that you read that paragraph into the record.
Thank you, Commissioners. Investigators within IPID are allocated to specific regions within the province. I am a part of a team of investigators who are responsible for investigations within the district, which oversee 43 police stations, as well as specialized units within the SAPS, and Ekurhuleni Metropolitan Police Department, which is our EMPD. We are a team of 6 members. Myself, I oversee 7 police stations that are within the EMPD. And then my acting professional head is Mr. Budu.
Mr. Budu.
Yes, Mr. Budu, Vinesh Budu.
Thank you. Midway, that page 5, you have a heading, My Involvement in Brakpan, case number 429/04/2022. Do you see that?
I can see it, Commissioner.
And before then you deal with the content of that chapter, do you deal in this statement with any other matter or any other investigative work you have done in Ekurhuleni, or is it confined purely to this case?
Commissioner, I've mostly confined mainly to this case because it's the case that is being mostly talked about. So I saw it deemed that at least I must mostly confine my statement into this matter.
But for the record, your statement as it currently stands does not address any other case, just this one.
No, Commissioners.
You say no, I'm wrong, or no, it doesn't. Do you agree with me?
No, it doesn't. Maybe I
Okay.
can later just refer to other matters, but my
Indeed.
statement is based on this matter.
Okay. So then we deal then with Brakpan case number 429/04/2024, and as you state, what your involvement was in that matter.
2022.
2022. It's the afternoon, Chair. Thank you. 20/2022. You start with that from paragraph 16 at page 5.
Maybe before, Ms. Masuku, maybe before you start, on the back of what you said about the statement dealing only with this case number, but you said you deal with other matters. Are you involved with other EMPD matters?
Yes,
than this
Commissioner, I am.
one? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. But by way of background, the statements that were filed, starting with Mr. Kifelakai, were in particular response to complaints raised by Chief Mapieye and Commissioner Spies, and had listed specific cases that both witnesses, when they testified, alleged that IPID is deliberately frustrating. So on that basis, we had their testimonies, the investigators, to answering the charges in relation to these specific cases. Now, Ms. Masuku, You were provided with a statement of Commissioner Spies during consultations, and we consulted about that statement. Do you confirm?
I agree, Commissioner.
In the list of cases that Commissioner Spies listed, besides this Brakpan case number 42904 of 2022, is there any other matter that you investigated?
Yes, Commissioners, there is, because we work as a team. But each case will have a lead investigator, so that there must be somebody who must take responsibility of that matter. Like, for instance, in the investigation of the blue lights, the whole team was involved, but we do have the lead investigator on that matter. We've got different cases like precious stones. I was involved in the investigation of that matter, but we do have the lead investigator on that matter. So it's various cases.
Yes,
yes, but on Commissioner Spies' statement, there are other cases that are cited there, whereby they are not registered in our office.
Okay, so I was asking, my question really was to establish, do you specifically speak to this case that you're about to tend to now because you are the lead investigator out of the list of cases that Commissioner Spies referenced, or have you chosen this case on a different basis?
No, I didn't choose the case, but I will speak to it because I'm the lead investigator, and I'm the one who's got the full knowledge of the whole docket of all the questions that can be raised. I feel that I'm the person to answer those questions.
Okay, thank you. Then with that explanation, I would invite you to deal with your statement from paragraph 16. On reading the statement, this case had multiple steps, and perhaps it might be appropriate as you relate or you narrate your story that you have referenced time and again to the statement to make sure that we don't skip any important step. So if you could start from paragraph 16.
Thank you, Commissioners. This case of Brakpan case 42904 2022, initially it was not this case number. The case number, it was Duduza case 9104 2022, which was an inquest. But during my statement, I will get to that point as to how did it came about that it changed to this Brakpan case number.
And before you do so, perhaps oversight on my part, we just keep referring to the case number. Can you give a brief summary what the case is about before you deal with the detail?
The Brakpan case 42904 is about the death of an African male, Mr. Emmanuel Mpenze, who was staying in Brakpan in 2022, whereby there was an alleged police involvement.
And would I be correct that it's the same case where his body was recovered from a dam?
That's correct, Commissioner. That is why I'm saying it was Duduza case number 9104, 2022.
Noted. Thank you. You may continue.
Commissioners, during the year of 2022, around April, I received a call from the SAPS provincial office in Parktown. There was an official that was calling, but he called on my private cell phone. So I took it to a point that means he had my number. I cannot recall the name of that person because it's a long time ago. But he was alleging that there is a family that came to their offices complaining that they found their loved one deceased in a certain area in a dam somewhere where he was found by the police officers. But there are rumors that there were police officers who were in the house when he went missing. Then, because we didn't have any formal complaint regarding that, But just because they were mentioning to say, there was just allegation to say they were police, that they were there on the day of incident. Then I took it upon myself and said to the person I was talking to say to that officer, can you provide them with my contact details, or we exchange contact details so that I can be able to contact them so that I can make an appointment and visit their place.
Them being the family.
Being the family, yes, Commissioner. And then indeed, that took place. I made an appointment and visited the family. I cannot recall the date because there was no case docket as yet that I was investigating, but I was just following the information to say there is this concerned family, their loved one is deceased, then they are saying there is involvement of police officers, and I'm an officer for IPID because it has passed through my ears. Let me give them an ear and find out as to what really transpired. Then I will take it from there. Upon meeting with them, they explained as to how did the incident took place, even though our commissioners, at some stage, I won't be able to divulge all the information because this case is not yet in court. And I know that people implicated, they are on the screens now listening to whatever it I'm going to say. I will just, but I will be able to respond to whatever the questions the commissioners will pose to me. After I got the explanation, then I understood to say, okay, the body was found at Spaarwater Dam in Duduza. Then that means I must visit the Duduza police station. That means the docket is there. At Duduza, yes, there was an inquest docket that was registered. During that period, I'm just still doing just my preliminary investigation. It's not that I am saying IPT is investigating the matter. I just need to find out as to what transpired. So later on, I can be able to determine to say, will it fall within the mandate or not? And those are conditions I did explain to the family to say, if ever the allegations that you are explaining to me, they can end up being true, we will take over the investigation. But if it's not true, we will leave the investigation with the SAPS. Indeed, I got the docket. I went through the docket at the station in, that was around maybe beginning of May in 2022. I went through the docket at the station, and then what I realized before I could even say the docket is classified wrongly or what, it was that the case docket is opened by the state, which are police officers, because somebody is found deceased.
Before you proceed, we are now dealing with your paragraph 20. Okay. Can you, as you do in your paragraph 20, provide the full official details of that case docket? You refer to it at paragraph 20.
Okay, Commissioner, can I maybe read my paragraph 20?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. I traced and located the case docket at Duduza police station, where it was registered as an inquest, as per Duduza case 91 of 4/2022. I attach as annexure NPM 1 a copy of the crime administration system docket history. That is just the SAPS. It's the system that is called CAS. The CAS is derived from crime administration system. So from now on, I will call it CAS. That is how it was registered and classified as an inquest docket. And then it was allocated that specific number, which is 9104 of 2022, because it's a year, a month Yes, and the serial number of incident of when it took place.
Yes.
Yes. I couldn't transfer the case docket to IPID because I was still conducting the preliminary investigation to ascertain if there was indeed involvement of police officers as alleged by deceased family. An inquest docket traditionally contains the complainant's statements, chain of evidence, like cause of death. Not really, I'm not referring to cause of death that is coming from the postmortem report, but there is that a document, normally SAPS, they will fill it in whenever they are taking the body from the scene to the mortuary, which is SAPS 180. Normally, when the matter will be an inquest, you will find that they just write what's the cause of death unknown. So that is why they will end up registering inquest. The statement in the case docket was a witness statement who stated that there had been police officers in the property of the deceased before he went missing. Then I was puzzled to say, if the police officers visited the deceased address because they found him in the dam, he was transported to the mortuary, but in his pockets there was a driver's license and ID card. That is how they managed to trace the address as to who is this person. And then they visited the address. So if the police officers managed to do that, they should have reported to IPID. I am saying this because there is a witness that was interviewed by SAPS, not by me, by SAPS. The witness that is saying the owner of this house, on the day of incident, on the night of incident, the police officers were here. He was also here. But that is the last time I saw him. The following day, the house was upside down. It was open. I just pushed the butler gate to close it a bit, but he was nowhere to be found. Then now, for the investigating office of SAPS, who interviewed that witness, got the information now to say, yes, that means the police officers were here. This person was found at the dam. Okay, cause of death is unknown, but by looking at the body found there is blood that shows that there is some injuries around the head, even though you won't know where. But if blood was running somewhere, then you see that this person is injured. So SAPS, they interviewed the witness. The police were there. They found the deceased had injuries, but still they continued and registered an inquest matter, of which it was wrong of them to do that, according to me now. Because they can see that this person was killed. So they must register a murder docket so that it must be investigated as to what transpired with this person. And it was for SAPS to report that matter to IPID. Then it was for IPID to say, because this is how it goes when SAPS reports matters to us. We have a standby phone with a register. The standby phone rotates to everyone in the office. It's only one phone. Then you will receive the calls for all the stations. I'm working under Eguruleni, but I will receive the calls from Johannesburg, from Soweto, from wherever they give calls. So SAPS was supposed to call our office Then the member of standby was going to respond to them. Then we were going to attend the scene, because it helps us if we attend the crime scene. And during our investigation, most things becomes very easy, because I will be there. I will take charge of the scene. Yes, my manager explained to say we don't have enough resources. I agree, we don't have. We use SAPS because they are experts in that. But when I'm working with them at a crime scene, SAPS, they phoned, then they reported, then Nomsamasu scene from IPID. Then I will find out who the crime scene manager there. Then from there, the crime scene manager will hand over to me now. It's my crime scene now. I take control of everything, sorry. Then if SAPS should have done that, I don't believe that this investigation was going to take 4-5 years. But it took this long, and I will say I'm happy that I've got this opportunity to come and explain, so that even South Africa can understand to say how hard was it to crack this kind of a case. Okay,
We are now at your paragraph 22 at
okay,
page 7. Thank you.
I think it's the last sentence perhaps of 20, if you could just read into the record the last sentence of 20.
Yes.
okay. Thank you, Commissioner. The statement in the docket was of a witness who stated that there had been police officers.
The very last sentence, I think you were left with that before
Oh,
you
yes.
started explaining.
The witness
Was
a tenant on that property.
that is Mr. Mpense's property?
Yes,
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Ms. Masuku, before you move on, we heard from the previous witness about Section 29, which imposes an obligation to report conduct that falls under IPID's mandate. Now, and you're explaining now that the police had this information, the people whoever became responsible for this case initially knew the particulars, had a witness statement, there was an ID card of this person in the pocket, and there were injuries, and you say you expected, in fact, they should have called on IPID, reported this to IPID. It is fair to say we should expect a report about whether anyone of the police that attended to the scene and failed to report this to IPID, but in fact did more than that. What they did is they reported it as an inquest case, when in fact, in the way you describe it, it was clearly not that. That we should expect that those officers charges would be laid or should be laid against them for failure to report, and because Section 29 says you have an obligation to report, and it's an offense if you don't.
Commissioner, it's supposed to be like that. But on this matter, no police officer was charged, because we do have IPID Act, Section 33 of IPID Act, whereby we can open a case docket against a police officer if they fail to report. On this matter, we did not open Section 33 case against any member. Reason being, I struggled to get the witness that the police officers took a statement from, because immediately after the statement was taken, he moved out before the funeral. So he was no. So for me to open Section 33 based on that, I said to myself, let me do the investigation. Then I will see that later if I locate my witness. But I agree, Commissioner, to say, according to me, they should have reported this matter to IPID.
Complaint should still be laid against them.
That's correct, Commissioners.
Thank you.
And I assume that later you will explain why the tenant disappeared.
I will.
Later.
Yes,
All right,
I
all
will,
right.
Commissioner. When I get there, I will explain.
Thank you, Commissioners. You had testified that in your view, you considered the matter wrongly classified as an inquest, correct?
Yes,
And
that's
that you
correct.
stated your paragraph 21, and you set out the reason as being because the witnesses' allegations of police involvement and where the body was recovered should have militated against such a classification.
That's correct,
And
Commissioners.
I invite you to pick up your story from paragraph 22.
To reclassify the case as a murder case, I visited the Heidelberg Forensic Pathology Services. That was during May 2022 to obtain the postmortem examination report that was going to reflect the cause of death of the deceased. The reason I did this was to confirm first that the deceased didn't die from natural causes. Upon receiving the postmortem report, I noted that it was confirmed by the forensic pathologist, Dr. Stein, that the deceased cause of death was a head injury due to blunt force trauma. This was now confirmation that the deceased didn't die from natural causes. This conclusion will therefore require a reclassification of the case from an inquest to a murder case. This reclassification, together with the witness statement's allegation that the police were implicated, gave me the authority to register the case as an IPID matter.
Before you proceed, for the commissioners, the current version of the statement you have does not attach the post-mortem report. Your files have since been updated. If you could make a note at paragraph 30 that the post-mortem report is now annexure NPM1, Roman 1, starting from page 2.1 onwards in your annexure bundle.
Paragraph 23.
Paragraph 23, there. It's annexure NPM1, bracket Roman 1. Now, Ms. Masuku, I see if you could turn then to the other bundle that's written annexures, and you go to page 2.1, and you will see that the documents there are flagged marked NPM1 and following. I want to draw your attention to page NPM1, bracket 1, after NPM1. And that should start at your page 2.1 with the heading death register number, and it gives the details. You see it?
Okay, I see it, Commissioner.
Is that the post-mortem report you say you received then from Dr. Stein?
That's correct, Commissioner.
It has got a date there for the record. Can you read out the date this report was filed by Dr. Stein into the record?
It's the 9th of May 2022.
Okay. And you say, according to this document, this report, the death was confirmed not to be natural. And if you could turn to page 2.2 of the same file, just before the date, the place and date, Heidelberg, there is the cause of death listed there by Dr. Stein. And could you please read that into the record as well?
Head injury due to to blunt trauma.
Thank you. So then, at your paragraph 23, you say that as at 9th of May 2022, or shortly thereafter, whenever it is you uplifted the report, you got confirmation that the cause of death wasn't natural.
That's correct, Commissioners.
And then from paragraph 24, rather, you then set out the steps you took, having learned these facts. If you could pick it up from there, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. I then requested the case docket from Tutuza Police Station, and it was later transferred to Brakpan SAPS. This was going to assist the investigation because my visit to the mortuary confirmed that the deceased was murdered, and the deceased family had previously informed me that the police officers were involved in his murder. It will then become important for me to establish how the deceased ended up at Spaarwaterdam. The docket was then changed from an inquest and registered as a murder investigation under Brakpan Case 429 of 4/2022. I attach as Annexure NPM 2 a copy of this docket.
Please continue.
On the 2nd of May 2022, I received a call from the deceased mother, who informed me that there was a white male who identified himself as, sorry, Commissioners, can I just clarify something with the SC?
Oh. Commissioners, perhaps to assist the witness and your deliberations. I was saying to assist the commissioners in their deliberations and the witness.
Yes.
These names are reflected in full in the subsequent reports that are filed. So the commissioners then will guide us as to whether or not their names should be read out, because those reports have been filed with the relevant institutions already.
But perhaps let's respect the witnesses' feelings, and at least we've not been given to understand that the name is crucial to her testimony before us. Crucial in the sense that without that name, her evidence will be substantially negatively affected.
If I may check, she looked to me as if questioning whether she should. I don't know if she was expressing hesitance or whether she was seeking guidance. Perhaps the witness may clarify.
Thank you, Commissioners. I was seeking for guidance, but I don't have a problem in mentioning them because we have witness D who already came and mentioned names.
Yes.
So it won't be new.
If you have no difficulty, then please go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Chair.
On the 2nd of May 2022, I received a call from the deceased mother who informed me that there was a white male who identified himself as Zander, then in brackets Fritz, that visited her address at number
Please
in
don't read it
Brakpan
out. Yes, thank you.
few days after her son's funeral. She alleged that Zander informed her that he was investigating a robbery incident involving a truck. The evidence was collected from the deceased mother to support the allegations regarding Zander's visit. He proceeded to show her a picture of the deceased truck. I'm referring to Zander here. She confirmed that his truck, in brackets, Goodies, calling him, hence I put Goodies in brackets, and then Emmanuel, the name that is registered on the death certificate. Zande advised her that the truck was under investigation as it was taken from SAPS 13 at Boksburg. It was taken from SAP 13 at Boksburg police station. He further stated that no one should drive the truck because they will be arrested and be charged with possession of stolen motor vehicle. There is objective, verifiable evidence to be tendered during trial in court regarding Zande's visit at the deceased home. I should point out that in a warning statement obtained from Zande, who was a reservist by then, attached to Brakpan, he went alone. He had disguised himself as a member of Hawks because the allegations from the mom are that he was wearing a cap that was written Hawks. That is how he also introduced himself. Even the evidence that will be tendered in court, it proves that, yes, indeed, this is how he introduced himself to the mother. But I stand to be corrected, though, by SAPS to say I don't remember a reservist at the detective side of SAPS. The reservists, you will find them in visible policing, whereby they wear uniform and work with full-time appointed members. They don't work alone. There must always be a full-time appointed member to guide them. But this one, even though later, but this one, yes, he went alone, but he was not, he didn't say he was from Brakpan, where he was based as a reservist. He was coming from a specialized unit to the mother. During my investigation, I understood that he wanted to check as to if family are suspecting that he was killed, because they knew that they took him from the house and dumped him somewhere. So they were checking if they are being investigated during that period. Hence, he even said to the mother to say, if there are any police officers or anyone that can come doing this kind of investigation, don't respond to them. Before you respond, you must call me first, because I need to know that what will be that police officer doing, because I'm the one who's doing this investigation against your son.
Before perhaps you move on, Ms. Masuku, commissioners, perhaps for completeness, there is a statement in the annexure file. It's annexure NPM 5 Roman 1, and that is the statement of one Alexandra Fritz, and in particular from paragraph 16 of that warning statement, he references a visit to the home and expresses and narrates it in the manner that he does. From paragraph 16, the first few paragraphs until paragraph 15 are as regards the events of the day of the 14th into the 15th of April, when Mr. Mbenze apparently lost his life. Then 16 is a period following the 15th of April. And that's how Mr. Fritz narrates the incident of the day. It's annexure NPM 5, Roman 1. Paragraph 16 starts at page 26 of the annexure file. the commissioners could note, and perhaps at a later stage, we could go through the detail of that statement.
So you will come back to this document later?
We will come back to the document to the extent that is necessary when we deal with the issue of warning statements.
Okay.
I just thought to flag it for the moment.
Thank you.
Now, while I'm there, looking at your annexure file, page 14, Ms. Masuku, do you confirm for the record that that is the warning statement of one Alexander Fritz?
That's correct.
Page 14 of the annexure bundle.
That's correct, Commissioners.
Thank you. Commissioners, I see it's 4:02. We're in your hands.
Perhaps, Mr. Law, if the witness could continue until just before the next heading at page 9.
Indeed, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Masuku, we were at page 8 of your statement, and you had dealt with the contents of paragraph 27, correct? Which was the visit by Zander as narrated to you by the deceased mother. Do you confirm that?
I confirm, Commissioners.
The chair suggests that we finish that part of your statement until the next heading, which starts at the next page. So if you could deal then with paragraph 28.
In my capacity as a duly appointed investigator acting within the scope of my lawful authority, I initiated and conducted preliminary investigation on the strength of the witness allegations of potential police involvement in the death of Mr. Mpenze. The action was undertaken pursuant to the mandatory reporting obligations imposed upon SAPS in terms of Section 28A of IP Act of 2011, which requires that all deaths in police custody, or Section 28(1)B, which are deaths as a result of police action, be reported to Independent Police Investigative Directorate without delay. Accordingly, the initiation of the preliminary investigation was lawful, necessary, and procedurally compliant. On this paragraph, what I'm trying to explain is, one will ask to say, why did you do the investigation that was never reported to your department? But as I'm saying, during my preliminary investigation, I realized that yes, indeed, there is involvement of police officers. And now I cannot leave this case docket with SAPS because family must receive justice for their family member. Then one again will ask to say, is Brakpan or Duduza one of your stations? Because I said before, I am overseeing 7 police stations within Eguruleni. I would like to state that no, those stations don't fall under me. But the reason I had to undertake this, it's because I'm an appointed IP investigator, 1. To allocate the stations, it's just for our control. It does not mean that if a police then report the matter, hand it over to IP, and then we were going to take over in a formal way, as I said before, that it was going to shorten the duration of investigation a bit than now, whereby it has prolonged for years. But I would like to say to the commissioners, it was worth it to be this long.
Sorry Can I ask a question and it requires a yes number answer? I'm mindful of time. Are you saying on the date that Mr. Mbenza was killed, SAPS is able to determine whether SAPS vehicles were at the family house?
That's correct, Commissioner, but I'm not sure if I understand your question correctly, but because even SAPS did not become aware on the 14th, because this was the incident between the 14th and 15th. But for the fact that the body was recovered on the 15th, then it was within the duration. On that day of the 15th, that is when they became aware to say the police were there in that house. So they should have reported to us.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ms. Masuku, your next paragraph at page 9 is 29. Now, that's under a slightly different heading, which is my investigations into the case. Now, you narrate the actual steps that you took. And perhaps that's a topic we can pick up tomorrow morning. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, Ms. Masuku, we will adjourn until tomorrow morning. Please be here at 9:30 tomorrow. Let's adjourn.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioners.